Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Parent Cafe Live. Today we are talking about feelings, and really what I want to talk about is how our kids have so many of them, and during stressful times, you're going to see those come out a lot more and come out sideways and maybe as behaviors we don't understand. So I just really want to talk about how we can support our kids' well-being, basically their emotional well-being during stressful times. So I did some research and found some really cool articles, and I will post, and you guys might hear my child in the background. So I apologize that this is live today instead of a recorded version. But I had some issues with my document saving, so I wanted to make sure to get the information out. So I am redoing my recording live. So welcome, and we'll see how long we go on today. So please, as always, like, subscribe, share. Please feel free to comment if you are watching this live or not. I haven't really had a whole lot of people responding, so I'm hoping as I get to get out in the community again and I can talk about this and share it a little bit more face to face. People will know, like, oh, it's okay if I go check this out. So it's kind of hard when I don't have a place to market this yet. So to get parents to see it. So if you're seeing this later, even though this is during COVID, it doesn't really it's not limited to just this time of stress. So this should be useful no matter what's going on, whether you're having a divorce, a move, starting school, somebody's ill in your family. Stressful traumatic events look very different for everybody. So if you have multiple kids, maybe one's not affected, another is, or it's going to look very differently. So we don't really have to label it as what stresses us out that's going to stress our kids out. It could be anything. And older kids are not very good at sharing. They're going to camouflage it and try to hide it more so. So you probably need to be more alert for your older kids. So just that tip out there as I was researching this. So generically, I know the things to look for. I have a 4-year-old, as many of you have seen my videos before know. So I've researched this a few times, but if I'm going to talk about something, I always go out and look for some current information. And there's a lot out there with a really respectable, research-based associations and organizations that have put out a lot of articles, which is really nice that there's so much stuff going out there with this pandemic. We'll probably see it again. And, this isn't the first. It's the first one in, my lifetime that has been this severe with so many government led initiatives to help minimize the spread of the disease, which is amazing that they are taking it seriously. But we all have things in our lives, depending on, H1N1 is really scary if you have immune compromised family members. When the norovirus breaks out, RSV for littles, there's all sorts of times in our lives when illness can impact us. So again, this information is really good, and I'm glad that they're pushing it out and it'll be accessible. And the other nice thing is there's a lot of organizations putting out stuff for us to help support our kids during this time for free. So even with teaching resources, there's a lot of places giving out free things so we can better homeschool our kids and try to make learning less stressful for them and meet all their needs. So when your kid's in school, it's already hard to navigate learning for 30 different kids with 30 different styles, 30 different needs, right? So when you get them out of a schoolroom, you're not a teacher who has been learning different teaching models, has more resources than you do, has a little bit of background in how to explore and research that. So don't feel bad if you haven't found your mesh yet. I think even though school is going to be out soon, and our kids are still homeschooling, if this were to have a relapse or something, I think it's good to know what your resources are and to help. You never know if your kid's going to have mono or something and you need to keep them home and they could still like do school distantly. So learning ways to help support your kids. And then I think even if when they go back to the classroom, you're going to be learning and be better prepared to advocate when your kid is having trouble. So like I said, those teachers are better prepared, but you still are the expert on your child. So the more knowledge you have on their learning needs and styles, you can help make them successful in school. So if you know what works for your kid or what doesn't work, you can share that with your teacher and it helps you guys problem solve together. And I know a lot of the teachers, they're willing to help you too. You're not on your own trying to help figure this out, whether they're face-to-face in school or still doing the distance schooling. So make sure you're having open conversations with them to support your kids, because I know that the school part is a huge contingent for our stress levels right now. So I found my article through Child Trends, and I will post that. And there was a ton of awesome resources, and I've saved all those links, and I will be posting them here. So talking about feelings is a huge part of supporting feelings. So recognizing them, being able to understand them. So when our kids are little, we have to help give them that language and words and how to identify those feelings. That doesn't really stop ever. And when we have new stressful experiences, it's hard to figure out why those feelings are happening because they don't make sense. They're not something we've experienced before. Or maybe we did, and but like, oh, I'm home. This is amazing. Like, I don't have to go to school. Like, why should I be stressed? Why should I be sad? You just don't always know how to pinpoint what's going on. And our feelings are so complex and there's so many things that they stem from. So don't be afraid to talk about them. And just listening. We might not have all the answers. We might not be able to solve the problems, but often just talking through them helps you own them and navigate them and be able to focus like, okay, well, if that's a negative feeling, what usually turns that around or diffuses it or makes it positive, or what can I do to improve that? So our kids really are observers, so they notice a lot more. So they're taking on our stress as well and pick it up even if we're trying to not have them be stressed. So when you think of stress in an environment and when you think of risk and protective factors, so stress can magnify something that's already existing or created. So in terms of mental health. So it's a good time, and my kid's here today with me. So it's a good time to be really conscious of that kids can experience depression and anxiety at young ages. And being able to talk about that and knowing that. And there's a lot to being able to help our kids by knowing and understanding the illnesses that they can have. Some of them just really like attention and they think it's fun to be on video. Mm-hmm. Okay, please go play so I can finish my video, okay? Okay. I love you. I love you too. And so our job is to keep our kids safe, and that's emotionally safe as well. So if it is more severe or triggers something more severe, that is another topic all in itself. There's a lot of telehealth resources out there. The helpline, so call 211, or the crisis line, which is one. I will find it and post it on the link. I should know it by heart, but I'm just, I usually just pull it up on my phone if I were to need it. So there's the Let's Talk app as well that you guys can pull up that has a lot of resources that help kids, especially like our tweens and teens, explore things that maybe they're struggling with. And so one really good source was kidshealth.org, and there's teenhealth.org to help with a lot of things too. So if you're just not having access to a lot of resources. Online resources really good for kids and family members to access on topics that you guys are going to need. So you think about the stress that's happening and how that can affect. So some of us don't have job stability or income stability, sometimes just the unknown. We don't have social supports like we did. They look so different because many of us are still doing social distancing and doing things online. Maybe resources have been hard to come by. I don't know if you guys are having troubles getting any of your medications or anything, but even food is like our meat shortages are causing the packaging prices to go up. So like at the grocery store, meat's more expensive. Just people are having to change things. And it's stressful, right? So here's some things we can do to help our kids. So remembering social distancing does not mean social isolation. So we just really need to support and encourage ways to do that. So kids are really hard to not like touch and hug and share that because we are social beings, right? And so through time, we learn to like protect ourselves and set boundaries. And some of those are just because we want like to be socially normal or whatever and whatever, right? So if you have play dates, your kids might not practice social distancing very well. And that is something you're going to just have to choose to do. You know, a lot of daycares have opened up. So just making sure you're minimizing how much touching is going on, or have it with other families that are doing social distancing as well or similar to you and have hygiene practices like you do. Washing hands. I mean, you could set up hand washing stations outside. Lots of things like that. We can always do FaceTimes. So one of the links on here talks about how you can make like online Skyping, or the kids' Facebook Messenger has a lot of fun things where they can play games and do like their funny faces together and stuff. So just making that engagement as much as it possibly can. So don't be afraid to do that with their friends and family. So I've seen a lot with grandparents and kiddos and grandkids missing one another, and that's such an important relationship, and we want to foster that. I know as a kid, like if I didn't see my grandparents, it was heart-wrenching. Like I missed them and I called them all the time. So they were a big role in my life, and my son's grandparents are as well. So I think that's really important. Providing age-appropriate information. So it is okay to explain what's going on, so they have an understanding and they just don't feel like everything's been taken away from them. Just make sure it's age-appropriate. Also with like just filling their time, making sure everything's still age-appropriate, whether it be you're giving them additional education or learning resources, whatever you're allowing them to watch on TV or their tablets, playing games, those things. There's a lot of websites and things out there that currently have information on illness and COVID that can help make it a learning opportunity. Some of the links, there's a lot with PBS Kids, Daniel Tiger talking about when we get sick, hand washing, things like that. If you check out Conscious Discipline's website, they have some freebies that are printables as well that are COVID specific. So I don't know how long those will be available, but they have created those. So some of it's just like a hand washing chart or a visual so that they can see what that looks like. And just like, you know, at school, they have those pictures, and then there's songs on there about hand washing. And I think it's good to get kids to wash their hands as long as you need them to sing a song. That's the whole reason, and to make it kind of fun. So creating a safe physical and emotional environment by practicing the 3 R's. So the 3 R's are reassurance, routines, and regulation. So we have to reassure our kids that we are there for them. We have to make sure that, we don't have to protect them from all of the things we're doing, but showing some resilience on our end is going to provide that reassurance for them. Routines, do things as much like you usually do as you can. And if your routines have changed, that's okay. Your new routines just might look a little different, but from day to day, it should look similar. Kids thrive on routine, it's how they learn. They don't do well with a lot of change. So, being able to maintain some sort of structure, it might not be the same structure it used to be, and that's totally fine. All of us have changed our like schedules to accommodate our kids being at home, being able to teach them, work, do all the things we need to do. But it's been, I think, 7 weeks. So we should have some sort of routine down by now. So maintaining that as much as we can, and making sure kids have some fun but structure. And that goes with that regulation, that third R. So there still has to be rules, right? It just can't be completely free range. And that helps keep them safe, right? So if I say free range only because I have a friend who always says her little kids free range, but they still have structure and safety. It's just a parenting style to let kids be creative and explore, and that is totally fine. But when I say regulation, like they don't get to eat ice cream every meal, right? They still maybe have their chores that they need to do to help support the family and help. And it's good for them. Some of those activities, like if you have pets, have them help with that, and it gives them some purpose as well. So remember those 3 R's: reassurance, routines, and regulation. And do that as fitting as it is with your family lifestyle and what's going on with your guys' schedules. I'm not trying to make you change anything. I'm hoping that a lot of this stuff already makes sense and you're probably already doing it. It just puts a name to it and you're like, yes, I am doing that. And it helps you understand where you can maybe make an improvement or a change, or give you ideas. So the next tip is keeping children busy. This is super hard. If you have multiple kids, sometimes they keep each other busy. I have an only child in my home, so it is a lot on us to do that. And he's likes a lot of attention. So he's busy playing with a box and creating some sort of fort over there for my dog and him, which is fun, but he still needs a lot of engagement with my husband and I.
I'm making a surprise for you and me.
Ooh, nice. So it is hard to balance out like your day if you're trying to work from home. So making sure that you have some time where you don't have to do that, play both roles. So that's why my husband and I have kind of split our schedule to help with that, because it was just too hard and stressful, and that was not good for any of us in the house. When it's nice out, like today, it's supposed to rain tonight. There's lots of things you can do outside, and there's so many cool activities out there. So again, those links that I will be posting, check those out and make sure they're age appropriate. So I typically post a lot with preschool or 0 to 8, just because that's sort of where I'm at with things. If you guys have any information for older kids on things, please let me know. I've seen a lot of kids have gotten really creative and they're writing music. They're being more physically active, finding things to do. So lots of good things. Yes, honey. Okay, we need to leave that there. Okay. So the next thing is increase child self-efficacy. So they need to feel like they have some sort of control. When things are uncertain, you need to do that. So when you let them explore and learn through play, like the last video I did, they get to practice some of that, and you might be their playmate, and that's okay. And let them explore that and be silly. It doesn't have to be our higher level of brain function yet. They don't have all of that. Let them create roles and play certain things. Giving them jobs, chores, things like that, having them help pick out those things. So just having a lot of conversations to help empower them. So the next thing you need to do is provide opportunities to take care of yourself. So if our cup is empty, we are not going to be able to give anything to our kids and support them, right? So you have to take time for yourself, and you have to allow yourself that. It is so hard. So this is one of the hardest things for me, and I feel really guilty, and sometimes I just shut down. And I will use the TV and say, okay, I need you to watch this. And I just need to go back in my room, decompress, listen to some music or do whatever. And he's totally fine. He's super excited because he's getting to watch whatever cartoon he's been waiting to watch all day or whatever. I have to set dates where I go do something with my friends, or I do some online support groups, and I look forward to those a lot. So even though I can help guide and facilitate conversations, I still participate. I am still a parent who is also stressed and has not experienced everything. So it is nice to get other people's perspectives. And that is a huge self-care for me, to know that I've got a village, even if it's only online right now. And I feel like I've been able to get more connection and support that way. So there's a lot of pros and cons to this. And I see us moving forward, not being afraid to reach out, even though life's busy, because we can still usually find time to hop online for a group, even if maybe we can't leave our house. And it's beautiful, honey. We will look at it when I'm done, okay? You got to wait for me, okay? Then, sorry, you guys. My coffee is got me all sorts of excited this morning. The next thing is emphasize strengths, hope, and positivity. So whenever we're feeling kind of stressed out, whether that be the parent or the child, it really does help to have some repetitive positive affirmations and strengths involved. It just helps us kind of sync our mindset a little bit away from the negative, because it's really easy to kind of cycle through that. And when we have like something that we view as a traumatic event, or our bodies view as a traumatic event because of the type of stress, and if it's long-standing stress, it can impact us for a really long time, and it can create more self-doubt or anxiety over things, and other like negative thought tracks in our brain. So the more that we can interject with positivity and some control, that's going to be super helpful. And talking about it is going to help. I feel like we all kind of naturally will take on a caregiver role when another person is upset. So I've seen my son console me, right? If I talk about that I'm having a hard time. He's 4 and he's consoled his mom. It's super cute. He's just pats me, it's gonna be okay, Mom. And that sweet hug and kiss will snap me out of it, and then I can continue supporting him. I typically don't have it to where I'm a super hot mess near him. But I mean, I'm pretty vocal about it when I am stressed and having a hard time, because it looks very different with me, and I have to explain that if I'm being short with him, sometimes kind of emotionally distant, because I'm trying to put up a wall so I can reserve whatever I have, and that's just part of what goes on in my head. I explain that to him, that it's not him that's doing it, and I'm just having a hard time, and I love him, and trying to reassure him, I guess. And I find that that's super helpful, because then he just bounces off of it oh, Okay, it's not me. I didn't do anything wrong. Perfect. Like, I'm going to keep doing my thing, Mom. I love you. And that's really helpful. So when you guys go and look at all of these resources, there's so many. So there's also cartoons and books on how to explain the coronavirus if kids are still coming with a hard time. Like I said, with conscious discipline, there was in that COVID-19 area of their website under the freebies, they had stuff about like what it's like, why we're missing school, when everybody starts coming back together. They had one about, I think, missing grandparents. Then they had some like conscious discipline talks about being helpers. And there's ones about like super helpers, and which is really talking about like essential workers. So a huge part of conscious discipline is to your job as the parent or caregiver, that could be the teacher role, is to keep kids safe. And their job is to help you keep them safe. And through a lot of support models, you're helping them recognize their feelings and self-soothe and things. Everything's guided. And it's all, strength-based, which is really important to help build all those positive things we've been talking about. And you see that throughout everything that they do. So if it's not for you, there's still other resources out there. There's classes on conscious discipline. There's books and things. I think the I Love You rituals and Easy to Love, Difficult to Discipline are good books to get a strong basis as a parent. So I've read those and I really like them. And it's about really like we have to learn how to do things kind of differently as parents if we expect our kids to do them. So it takes some self-reflection and some self-control things that we have to role model. And I noticed that I always do that. Luna, stop. That's my dog. So on one of the links, a different resource is like exploring the coronavirus, and I printed it, which you can do, and it has folding instructions. My house is just full of stuff today. There's articles on how to keep your kids busy, and they had different ages, so it wasn't just little kids, and they had it all based on age appropriate activities and ideas. So those links will all be there. How to have discussions about COVID that are age appropriate. I think that's helpful. This one is about behaviors. So like there's a whole thing on self-care and coping by age. So it has their age group, their reactions, because it's going to look so different for each of them, and then how to help them. So like for a preschooler, my kiddo, fear of being alone, bad dreams, speech difficulties. They could be experiencing some loss of bladder or bowel control, bedwetting, some issues with their stomach, changes in appetite, and clingy behaviors, whining, and temper tantrums. I have seen all of these. He's prone to them anyways because the temper tantrums and whining and clinging. I think partially because he's an only child, but that's just his personality. He's been that way since he came out. Just really likes a lot of physical attention and love and hugs, and likes to be near us. Even when he's got other kids he's playing with, he comes and checks in with us very frequently and always wants to share with us. So, but we've seen that increase a lot, and the clinging behaviors even more so. He just is very affectionate, and we support that. So then there's things on how to help. So being patient and tolerant, like it's okay if you're feeling these things. And the tantrum outbursts, we've gotten to work a lot with understanding their feelings and emotions, and we've seen those shorten a lot. And that's partially just the age. That's what happens when they are stressed and don't know how to talk about it. So another thing is maintaining family routines. So as you go through each age. It's broken down by school age 6 to 12 and then adolescent 13 to 18. And, there's some give and take in there, so it's not going to hurt to know and try other things in those different age groups as well. I'm just scanning this stuff I gave you to see if there's anything else I really want to point out. Making sure they know how to stay safe. So I talked about it's our job to keep them safe and their job to help. So making sure your kids know how to wash their hands, right? Making sure they know how to stay healthy. So rest is good. If we're tired, we need to, because we need to practice these healthy living habits, as we go out. So right now we haven't had any new cases of COVID-19, which is amazing in Cascade County. But how do we prevent that? This is just really good for all illnesses, because so many people go to work because they feel like they have to, even though they're sick. So I'm hoping there's some better rules that continue to be in place. And we kind of have to advocate for ourselves. And I know some jobs you don't really have sick time, and I hope that changes, that you guys get more of that and don't have to balance so much, because a lot of us save it for our kids. So making sure we're practicing as many healthy habits as we can to maybe prevent some of those sick days being needed. So other resources, especially for our little kids, PBS Kids has got a bunch with Sesame Street. Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood has got a ton of stuff, which was really cool. This one's really cute. Germ fighting superhero, but there was a whole list. I'm not going to go through them because they have them all in linked for you. And the cool thing is you can have PBS Kids on your phone and watch some of those episodes. And I think Daniel Tiger's got a game app and stuff too. But so don't be afraid to access those. Again, kidshealth.org had a lot of cool information. This Child Trends website, and the CDC has had a lot of really good stuff out there too. So I hope you guys have researched when you've needed to and not felt alone. I hope this information today has helped you. So next week we will be talking about building positive relationships with our kids and teaching them how to continue to build healthy relationships and the importance of that. We did talk a little bit about that last week. On how that's important. And I hope you guys have a great day. It's supposed to rain, but that's okay, because I'd rather have some green weather than all the brown. So have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.